Okay guys, this is the second time I've had to make this video, which is just great because it's a big batch of crow eating for me twice that I had to redo just to make sure that I'm getting the right story out to you and owning my mistakes. So if you were here to watch someone be wrong on the internet, you're going to be really happy. What had happened, why I had to fight with that one shoe for so long is I was just straight up putting the wrong spring in it. You'll see one spring is much shorter than the other one there. That is a spring I should have been using. Initially, I thought the parts kit didn't include this spring, and that's why I missed it. No, it did. I just lost them. This had become such a mess, I just misplaced it. So basically through, I guess, a lot of arrogance and impatience and laziness, stupidity, everything else, I never even compared all of the old springs to all of the new springs. So that cost me 2.5 hours by the time it was all done. It's now a couple days after the fact, but at the time when I figured this out, it was a huge revelation. I was really relieved to see what I had done wrong, so I could then do it right, and that's what I did. I just ended up putting one of these springs in used because I didn't realize the kit had new ones. In fact, I still don't know where the second one of these went. And just to be clear, I'll go grab the book and show you what I should have been looking at, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully this comes through on the camera okay. If not, I'll have to, take a scan of this or something. But this short spring goes over on this side with the automatic adjuster arm and this bushing and everything. It makes sense because there's a stack up of thickness on that stuff. So that's where the short spring goes, and there's where the long spring goes, and I was trying to do that. So I fought with it for hours trying to do that. And like I said, I initially blamed it on the parts kit, and I came out and made a ranty video about the parts kit, and so I'm having to redo this again to let you know that wasn't the parts kit's fault at all. It was my fault. But there is a problem with the parts kit. The problem with the parts kit, and you will have maybe also noticed by now that I have forgotten to put these springs in. And this one I will partially blame on the parts kit, and then like 15% blame on the parts kit, and then the other 85% me, is the parts kit really does not include this spring. I double checked that against the picture on Amazon and everything else, and that is the spring for the parking brake adjust arm, the I guess return spring for it that goes in between the shoe and the spring arm. So kit does not include these, which makes me pretty unhappy because it is a AC Delco kit. It's supposed to be the kit for this truck, and it didn't come with all the springs. But all the same, 85% of the disappointment is on me because I didn't put this stuff in at all, and the kit totally came with that spring that I didn't think anything about until now. So crow eating completely my fault that I didn't catch this stuff. You gotta watch stuff like that. So if you, the part one of this went really poorly. Part two went better, but this is like part 2.1 for me because I got to throw this stuff back in it quick that I forgot. And really thank God for the video, because if I hadn't been editing the video last night, I would have never seen that. Oh wait, this stuff's supposed to be in here. So that's that. Back to it. All right, guys, I'm going to show you the next stupid thing I did last night when I was frustrated and tired and in the mood to do stupid things, apparently. Took off the parking brake arm from the cable. So you guys are going to end up with what amounts to kind of a bonus video here of a parking brake cable replacement. Not because I need to replace it, but because I'm going to have to go through basically all the steps of replacing one to fix this. I got it in my mind, because tired and stupid and annoyed, that on most drum brake stuff I can remember, you pop the cable out of this guy, put the arm in, and then later on you can drag the cable back through it. That's not the case with these S10 Blazers, or at least this second gen, or mine, or whatever you want to say. This cable is, especially the spring, is very much designed that it has to be in there before the spring will lock. Right now the spring's bent up because I bent it up to get the cable out. I was so mad at it. And yeah, that was a big mistake. Don't take that apart. So I've got to fix that. And the reason I'm going to have to go through all the steps of replacing a parking brake cable to be able to fix it, all the steps except actually removing this, which is pretty easy, I'll show you, is because I can't pull enough slack on the cable to actually get that spring back on and in the arm with the other end of this cable, which is up under the truck, connected. So I'm going to have to get under the truck, disconnect that cable, pull slack on it, put that arm back on, get back under the truck, hook the cable back up, and then I'll be back where I started from after, probably 20 minutes of work, or who knows. Who knows what fresh nightmare it'll be to even get that cable unconnected under the truck. But there was some good news about that. As I was pulling at this thing and cussing and unhappy with life, discovered that these cables are in fine shape. They move just fine. Pulling on it over here was giving me spring tension, so I know that it's pulling on the spring on the other side, so that cable's free too. So looks like we're going to have operational parking brakes or e-brakes that I can rely on, which is, added bonus that I wouldn't have expected. But yeah, everything fell apart over here last night. Mistakes were made. Fools were shown to be fools. I've got a ridiculous mess to clean up. My brand new brake shoe is all covered in brake grease. Literally everything out here is covered in brake grease. I haven't done any work, and my my hands are just destroyed just from touching stuff. So it's Thursday night. This is just going to be a clean up the shop, wipe down the tools, get things set up right for the weekend kind of night, I think. So anyhow, like I said a moment ago, just guilty of arrogance and hubris and laziness, really. I think laziness is the big one that got me. I didn't even feel like being out here, which means I probably really shouldn't have been out here, or maybe I should have addressed something else out here. Something I was more in the mood for, I suppose. So anyway, take it from Max. Don't be like me. Oh yeah, something I forgot, guys. Last night when I was in here and I was talking about, somebody must have overgreased the bejesus out of these things or whatever, and this was all super caked up. I think I actually know what that's about too. I don't think this is grease. I think what's happened is the wheel seal for the axle is probably leaking. So I bet when I pull the plug on that differential that it's plenty low. So that's another one of those things that I should have probably recognized straight away and just wasn't thinking about. But yeah, I bet I'm going to have to pull these axles out and replace those wheel seals. We're going to do that at another time, probably when I do the spring shackles. I'll pull the drums back off and pull the axles out, because right now this thing is radically overstaying its welcome in my shop. This is a winter beater. We're getting into April, so this thing's got to get finished up to the point that I can at least go test drive it, keeping in mind I've only driven this like 150 feet. So I have no idea if the transmission even has all the gears. If it doesn't, this thing's going to leave my life, and I'll take what work I've done to it, new parts back off, and, we'll probably go get another Blazer at that point because I've already bought parts. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know anything about how this thing drives. It got to my house, it went down the highway at 60, so that guy didn't die doing it, but as we've kind of learned to discover, he didn't care about dying. That was not an issue on his priorities. Although on the way here, I was doing, like 5 over the speed limit, and he was like 3 miles behind me. So maybe he was going like 40 for good reason. But anyway, so right now I just need to get the thing put back together so it's not leaking gas, so all the brakes work, and it's moderately safe enough to drive up to, let's say, 50 miles an hour for a mile, just to get it into overdrive, and also to get it up to temp and see how it's going to behave then. And that's it. This thing's going to get out of here. Probably the next heavy hitter on the agenda is going to be the tractor, because grass is growing and I'm going to have to be mowing soon. So anyhow, just wanted to update you guys on that one, because I was thinking about it last night when I was laying in bed mad at this thing, that I bet this thing needs wheel seals. Alright guys, welcome back to Saturday. A bit of a slow start this morning, so I came out and used my whiteboard here to kind of make a list of priorities just to try and keep me on track, because I love to ramble, as I'm sure you've noticed, and that includes rambling and what I'm literally doing too. But anyway, what we're hoping to get done today, and I feel that this is kind of an aggressive schedule, at least for me, or, if everything goes perfect, we might get this stuff done. So I've got to get under it and disconnect that e-brake cable and get that all put back together, get that situation taken care of. Want to get the left-hand rear drum brake put back together. Then I can change the left-hand axle line and that soft line that I've currently got clipped off. Remove the primary rear brake cable, so the brake line, the one that runs all the way back down the truck. And then I've got prepare, remove fuel return line, maybe the evap too. And why this is repair and remove and not replace is because I got gun shy about just running that soft copper nickel line right on top of the frame without any stone guard, or abrasion guard springs. So I went ahead and ordered the springs. The ones for the brake lines I think are here right now. The other ones won't be here until next week for the fuel lines. And it goes brake line on the frame rail, it goes brake line first, then fuel line, then fuel line. So you kind of want to do the fuel lines first, just so the brake line is in the way when we're doing that. Have to see how that goes. So this is the plan for today. And right now I feel I've got probably 7 or 8 hours to work on things, including filming and all that. I think all this is possible in that amount of time if everything goes perfectly. It's almost certainly not going to go perfectly, so we'll see. Then tomorrow I'm probably going to have 3 or 4 hours to work on things. That might be enough to run the new primary line, but like I said, may or may not want to do that. Or fuel, parts dependent. Wrote this down before I saw this shipping notice that I was not going to be getting these fuel lines today, or the springs for the fuel lines today, so probably won't do that. But then if we get the left-hand side drum brakes done, I want to go ahead and tear down the right-hand side and clean them up and everything. And for me, that'll be a quicker one because, I'm probably not going to film that and bore you guys with it twice. So you're going to get the left-hand side. And like I said, for me doing it and filming and everything else and the way this is going, can we get half of this stuff done this weekend? What we call 50% success rate on this list a win? We'll see. But normally that's how most of my stuff goes, is I have, big dreams and I think it to death, and then I get into it, and we get about half done. So we'll see what happens. But first thing right off the bat, e-brake cable. All right, first things first. I told you guys that I've got a trick for taking these things off, and it's a really easy trick. All you do is you get a box end wrench, and it helps if you're a tool hoarder here and have several sets of wrenches to choose from, and get one that has kind of a thin body. All you do is you slide it on this line, or on this cable, and you just get it worked under there, and you just keep jiggling it, maybe tap it with a hammer a little bit until it slides back, and it'll compress those barbs. And usually while you're jimmying with it and everything else, it'll actually just push it on out. So that's a trick I've used a bunch of times on this truck. Right now I happen to have a 13 millimeter or ½ inch. Might vary a little bit depending on your vehicle. I've also seen guys take like a hose clamp, put it on here and run it down, or a zip tie, same deal, but I found that just slipping a box end wrench over it works pretty well. So, little tip for you, you can give it a try if you like. Alright, I think I'm going to get lucky on this parking brake cable. What I need to do is disconnect this guy by sliding it forward in this bracket and then just pulling it out. And since I took that spring off, this cable's super slack. So I think getting it off is not going to be a problem. But then when I go to put it back on, I'm going to have to back that adjuster nut off to get slack in the cable to be able to tension that spring, because I'll be fighting against the spring when I go to put it back together. So the first thing I'll do before I take this apart later on, that'll be when the job's pretty much over, is I'm going to take a paint marker and mark this and try to take a measurement, or just mark these threads or something, so I get it back about where it was. So if it had a working parking brake before, it will again when I'm done, without a whole lot of hassle. But either way, this stuff doesn't look very rusty, surprisingly, and it shouldn't be a big bear, so hopefully I can dig myself out of this ditch without a whole lot of effort. Yep, got lucky. What I ended up doing is just taking a pair of vice grips, and clamping the other end of this holder into this slot in the frame, which was fortuitously placed. And then just took a little screwdriver and a hammer and just tapped that cable on out. So not a big deal, about a 2-minute job, which I'm happy about. Okay, so I should have plenty of slack on this cable now. Oh yeah. In fact, that's a disturbing amount. Let's see if we can get her put back on without making a bigger fool of myself. Yeah, so this clip was like bent up around this thing to keep it from flopping out. I imagine it's going to be, well, this clip, it's just part of the spring. It's probably going to be a lot of fun to try and get that sprung back up correctly. We'll see. Maybe now that the cable's free, it's easier to just kind of jimmy it. Yeah, I don't really know what to do there. There we go. I think that'll do it. Let's see. I mean, once this is all tightened back up, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I said in my, stupid arrogance video where I owned this mistake that I've never seen a system where it kind of tries to hold the cable in anyway. Usually they just rely on the spring tension to do it, and that's been fine. But I think for right now, I'm not going to sweat it. We're just going to see what happens. Hopefully I can, yeah. Of course I can't just shove the cable back in. Oh, there we go. All right. Good deal. Time to get to work. So we will see. Yep. And you'll have that. Oh man. Oh geez, I can hear the grime on that now. Yeah. In fact, I don't think I want this pan here at all right now. I think we're better off to go with the box to keep parts from running away. So if I drop them, 37 more times like I know I'm going to, we don't have to clean them up and re-grease them every time. Victory is ours. I believe we got her. What's weird, there we go. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay, yeah. Camera says it's been 18.5 minutes since I started this recording. And even doinking around and, getting rags and all that stuff, and filming and talking to you guys. 18 minutes to put that back together. It certainly would have gone faster, 10 minutes. I fought with this for 2 hours because of that incorrect spring before, and, my own stupidity of trying to be lazy and not get that back in, which, you saw me try and be lazy and not do it the right way before today, too. So, but anyway, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here on out. Time to consult the book. Alright, looks like I was on the right track with my reassembly procedure. So, onward and upward. There we go. That's how it's supposed to go. That's what we want. I hesitate to say that might be the last time we have to do this side. It actually seems about right. Or am I stupid again? You know, I do want to put some grease back there. Alright, I think we're finally getting there. One thing I want to do before I forget is to pop these, probably that one. Wait a minute, what? One of those should be a rubber cap. Seriously? That's weird. These are knockouts. I may be the first person into these drum brakes, if I'm not mistaken. That's strange. I've never been into one like that before. There's... What? Ow. That light bulb is like 12 seconds old. Anyway. These guys... One of those is supposed to be a rubber plug. I think specifically this one. So you can get in the backside and turn the adjuster. I've never been into one that didn't have a rubber plug from the factory. Sometimes I'll knock the other one out too, just to have better access, because the spring kits come with another rubber plug. But it looks like on this one I'm going to have to be knocking that out just period. So that sucks. Let's make sure I knock the right one out. Yeah. Well, let's think. Make sure. I mean, yeah, obviously that wouldn't be right. So, yeah, we got to knock that one out. So, freaking weird. All right. All right, I'm goggled up so I don't get eyes full of rust, and got the air chisel ready. So here we go. Just had to lay on it a little more from the side. I had to come in from like this angle. Couldn't really hold the camera and show you, but it just popped right off. Anyway, it's worth mentioning you certainly can do that without an air hammer, just a regular hammer and punch, but it's way less fun. The air hammers makes it a lot easier job, especially since I have that jack stand in the way right now. So we'll just finish getting this guy worked out of there. Done deal. Now we should be able to, yeah, now you can see we'll have access to spin this gear. So it's a good thing we caught that wasn't knocked out. That would have made things very unpleasant later on. I would have been not happy at all. So, got her done. One thing I like to do when I get these all kind of put back together, so I just like to take them and make sure everything's nice and wiggly, make sure they all move free, and those certainly do. Kind of see if the drum wants to go back on, see if we're close. Yep, in fact that's real nice. So the drum wants to go back on. We're all good. I'll have to get under there and just make sure that e-brake cable's still in. Go back under the truck and put it back on. And then what I also like to do is I like to take just a little bit of anti-seize on this face and around this flange. Not a lot, a little, because this will fling out into your brakes if you use too much. Just so that'll help you remove the drum next time, if there is a next time. Personally, I'm hoping to never see these drum brakes again because I'm both tired of them and I shouldn't need to. Everything's all good. Brand new wheel cylinder, shoes, ready to roll. So anyhow, we'll get back to it. Oh yeah, totally jinxed myself. This is so tight that it's like twisting as I'm trying to break it loose. So if I attempt to pull slack on this, it's just going to break the cable. So we're going to have a real bear of a time getting that end back in. More paying the price for my stupidity. But well, we'll see. We'll give it a shot. I'm sure it won't be fun. I'll keep you posted. That better not have just killed another bulb. I totally did. That is the second light bulb in about I bet 40 minutes of use. We may have to retire this old drop light and go with an LED or something. So we're not going to go the incandescent bulb every 12 seconds route. It's weird to say we're holding up just fine. I don't know what's up. Maybe I'll try a different brand. I've got a couple options. Well, I had He-Man the bejesus out of it one-handed with a set of vice grips on the rubber jacket of the cable itself, the clear portion, not the black part. Which you never want to do, but that was the only option I had. Had He-Man the bejesus out of it one-handed, stuff it back in the clip, and when I pull on the cable, the brakes all actuate, so that's good. That's particularly good, and note to you guys, that cable that was seized that won't adjust is actually this one. It's for the other side. So this is a longer cable, and I'm going to guess probably more expensive and harder to route and everything else, so I'm glad that it went back together. But you can do it. You can just grab the hell out of that cable and just jam it in that clip. So next up, I'm going to have to get under it. Actually, next up, since victory is ours, whoop, got that done. Got that done. So, and yes, I did catch that adjuster fell out on the ground, just barely. Anyway, got it all anti-seized up now. I wiped down the shoes with some brake clean. Probably not the best thing to do, but these things are just covered in grease because I'm a moron and mess with them forever. I'll wipe out the inside of the drum with a little bit of brake clean, and on we go. Told you guys to apply a light coating, despite how it might look on camera. This is literally as light as I can get it. This was like pulling the brush out of the bottle, wiping as much off as I could, and then just taking my time really spreading that stuff out. So it is just a light coat. It shouldn't sling all over the place, but it should help remove with getting the drums off again if we should ever need to. And there it is for realsies this time with all the pieces back in it. By the time I was done making the video explaining to you guys what I'd done wrong and getting back in there and getting it all put back together right and everything else, I burned about 45 minutes doing this. Don't be like me. Anyway, she's done. We're calling it done. Throwing the drum back on it, and then the only thing left to do to it is to put that rubber cap back in after we get everything all adjusted out, which hopefully the self-adjusters actually self-adjust and we won't need to worry about it. We'll just put the cap on. But we'll see.